Good afternoon, and welcome to another office hours training. And I'm Crystal Gunn, your financial strategist and small business advisor. And part of my job as that strategist is to help you have some aha moments, to help you have some breakthroughs, to help you set a plan so that you can redefine your financial relationship or that you can build a strong, solid foundation for your business. It's what I love. And so when you have those aha moments, that's where the magic happens, right? That's where you start to shift. And that magic shows up in your personal finances and in your overall business. So today, let's get to and talk about smart strategies for your tax refund, maximizing financial benefits. It is tax time, y'all. And I ask again, what do you have planned for your tax refund? So for the past 2 weeks, I spoke on tax refunds and discussed 9 mistakes people make when they get their tax refund. So go back and watch those tax refund episodes. It's a lot of information in there. So go back and watch those episodes. But today, I think it was last Tuesday and the Tuesday before. So today I want to switch it up just a little bit. And I want to talk about some things that you should consider doing with your tax refund. So today, I think I'm going to cover just 2. And you know me, I'm not a fan of large tax refunds. But when you think of your tax refund, what's your plan? When you think about your tax refund, what's your plan? How are you going to use it to benefit you? Are you going to buy more things, more TVs, more shoes, more coats, more purses, more jewelry? Are you going to use it to help your financial situation? Are you going to use it to have some experiences, things that you've never done before? Are you going to use it to do some improvements around the house? What is your plan if you're getting back a nice refund? Go back and watch the trainings as to why I'm not a fan of large tax refunds. But if you're getting one, these trainings will be helpful for you. And again, I've said before, hopefully tax refund, this whole process won't be a thing come 2025. But since it's a thing in 2024, we're going to talk about it. Don't spend your refund on more things that you don't need. Be intentional with it. Make sure that you use it to help you get closer to your goals, whatever those goals are. But be intentional. Don't just look up and say, dang, I don't know what I did with that tax refund money. Be intentional. But in order to be intentional, you got to have a plan. You got to think about it up front, right? So anyway, let's look at some things you should consider doing with your refund. Number 1, have an experience. Life is all about experience. When you get older and can't do all of the things that you want to do physically, the things that will make you smile and the conversations that you will have with other people will be about experiences that you've had in life, not just more things that you bought, right? So carve out some of your tax refund to have an experience or experiences. So personally, you may decide you want, we all do the regular maintenance, nails done, hair done, pedicure, haircut, whatever that looks like, right? That's regular maintenance. That's not even self-care, it's maintenance. And so we do that regularly. But what's something that you haven't done before that you're like, you know what? I got this tax refund. There's some things that I thought about exploring before when it comes to you personally. So it might be something like sound bathing, right? So there's so much healing in it. I mean, it goes back for centuries in sound bathing. You might go and get Reiki massages. You've probably had regular massages, but have you had a Reiki massage before? So, what are the things that will help you? Remember, it's all about elevation. So, what's the things that's helping you to elevate to your next level? So, you may say, you know what, I'm going to take a couple $100 and I'm going to buy, 10 or 12 sound bath healing sessions or 10 Reiki massages, right? Because you have a lump sum of money and plan that thing out. So, again, that it benefits you. Have an experience. Have an experience with you and your mate, right? So, you do the normal things. You do the normal date nights, you do the normal concerts. What's something that you've wanted to do with your mate before that you haven't done? And I'm not talking about necessarily going on a trip. I'm talking about locally, something that doesn't cost a ton of money, but because you have this lump sum of money. And again, don't spend all of it on this. But what's that thing that, is it a play? Is it something, some other thing going on in and around your city that you've wanted to do before or you've had an interest to do before, but never stepped into it and never did it? Make a day of it or another date night out of it. Just do something differently than you've done before. So it's not going to the movies, it's not going to a regular concert if you've done that all the time. What's the thing different that you all can do? Let's go to a restaurant that we haven't gone to before, but make sure you're going because it has the ambiance. You're going now, you're not just going because it's the it place to go, but you're going because you want to make sure that you have this experience doing it. Have an experience with your children. If you have children, have an experience. Let them experience something that they've never experienced before. So a museum, is there a, you know, it might be that, you know what, your kid has wanted to do gymnastics. You see them flipping all around the house. They wanted to do gymnastics. Well, now take part of that and put them in a gymnastics program, right? Put them in a mentoring program, right? If you have young sons and there's not male figures around, put those boys in a mentoring program led by men, right? Do something for the children, and then you and their children together have some experience. But have an experience as opposed to buying them more things. I tell the story often when I was young. And we used to travel all the time and going out to Disneyland or Disney World, whichever one of those is in California. And we went on the Jaws ride, right? And that, you're on this boat and then this big shark, mechanical shark comes up, scared the mess out of me. I jumped across the thing, jumped across the boat into my mama's lap. And I tell the story often. And as I tell the story, I remember so much about the ride, but I don't remember what I wore. I only remember what I wore because I've seen the pictures, right? And knowing that my mother had to make my clothes because I was so tiny. But it was the experience that mattered and the traveling and those sort of things. So in use some of that money to have an experience, again, personally, with you and your mate, and then with your children. Life is about experiences. Those are the things that you remember. My dad died in 2017, and my mom often speaks about the traveling they did. They traveled all over the world to cruises, traveled all over the world, and how she has no regrets. But you know what she never talks about? The clothes, the TVs, or any of those type of things where you look back and they really and truly have no real meaning in the grand scheme of life. So have some experiences. So another thing that you can consider doing with your tax refund. So let's talk about debt. So we can look at two different things when it comes to debt: paying off debt and then using the debt as a tool to improve your credit. So let's look at paying off debt first. Now, you hear me say in the credit trainings that right now, with the current state of everything going on in the world economically, I'm not necessarily telling my clients to just take money and pay down debt. And I know you hear that a lot if you follow that sort of thing, pay off your debt. Now is not a time to have debt, right? But if over 75% of the people are living paycheck to paycheck, there's no money to pay off the debt anyway, right? So as long as you continue to manage it and pay it so that you're not having late payments and things of that nature, continue to do that. I'm not a fan of paying off debt right now, right? It has to be part of the overall plan, and it has to help you get to your next level, right? So paying off debt. So if it's going to help you achieve a bigger goal like buying a house, then you may want to pay down some debt. Now, you just don't you just don't randomly go and pay down whatever it is that's on your credit. There's a strategy to that when you're trying to get a house, because everything is about debt to income ratio, right? Well, credit and debt to income ratio. So why do you need to pay off the debt? Is it because your credit scores are fine, but your debt to income ratio is a little high? Is it you need to pay down some debt because you need your scores to go up? So, okay, your credit cards are maxed out. You need 10, 15 points. Let's pay down some of these credit card debts below 20% of the limit. See what that does to your score. So, are you using it? Are you trying to pay down or off debt for something bigger? And I talked about some of these things or these reasons why you would pay down debt. And again, one of the credit trainings. So go back and watch that. But anyway, paying off debt, if it's going to help you achieve a bigger goal like buying a house, something of that nature, then do that. Here's the thing though, if it's not something that's going to help with a bigger goal, don't just use it and say, you know what, I got a $5,000 tax return. I got, $3,500, $4,000, $8,000, whatever that number is in credit card debt, and just pay off the credit card debt. If you don't have a plan to use them effectively after you've paid the debt down to zero. Too many times, my clients and in workshops, we've had these type of conversations. They've done a debt consolidation loan, paid off credit card debt, and then they went right back and put balances on them again. I just did a consultation with somebody a couple of days ago, and that was her story. She was like, I did a debt consolidation loan, and she says, and now she said they're not maxed out, but they do have balances. Then you're not using them effectively. Right? So don't just use it to pay off credit card debt and you don't have a system in place to use your credit cards effectively, because most people are not using their credit cards effectively. So the other way that we talk about using debt, using it as a tool to improve your credit, right? I have clients and even people that refer people to me, uh, mortgage lenders or other bankers, when people have come in and have been denied for some type of loan, and either they have insufficient credit, like none, or they need their scores to be higher, but they don't have any credit cards or anything that we can use effectively to help their credit scores grow. So using it as a tool to improve credit. You may take $250, $300 and get a secured credit card, because you have to give the lender $300 and then that sets your limit. And then you use the credit card effectively, right? So 2 secure cards will help your score go up if you're using them effectively. What do I mean? Again, just had a credit client who had no credit. This is someone who has been in business for years, and they do a lot of money in that business based off what that business is, right? They get, a lot of money. So, but he personally has never used, doesn't have any credit, with no credit score. So I said, okay, we're going to get 2 secure cards. So he got 2 secure cards. On one card is now paying his cell phone bill. And the other card is paying his gas and light bill. And then he set up automatic payment from his bank account to pay those bills those credit cards on their due date. And what's going to happen is he's going to get a score, but because he's using it, so something is hitting his credit card and then he's paying it off, his scores are going to go up. And then that's going to allow him to go back and just get a business line of credit. So he's never had any business loans. So how do we start to improve that thing? So again, using it as a tool to improve credit. So you may go and you say, I get 1 or 2 credit cards, secured credit cards. The other way that you can use it is a secured loan, because now you have another type of loan. So it's revolving debt through that credit card. And now it's just an installment loan, because you may say, okay, well, I'll get a $500 loan from the credit union and it's secured. So you give them $500 and you can pay that back and it's going to report on your credit card, right? I'm more of a fan of the secured credit cards versus the secured loan, but it also is an option. So using your part of your tax refund as a tool to improve your credit. There are some links below that you might look at for in the description below for credit card broker, and you can find some secure credit cards, or for secured loan, you can find another link for a secured loan. Most importantly, be intentional with your refund. Be intentional. Redefining your personal financial relationship is going to take work. It's going to take time, but it takes intentionality. It takes a plan, right? And I'm a firm believer. I say it all the time. Get yourself a coach. It might not be me, but get somebody that does this, though. Don't go talk to your coworker or your sister, brother, cousin. Someone who does this, that can look at what you're doing and help you to have a plan of action in order to do that. So be intentional with your tax fund. What's the plan? Your tax refund. What's the plan? Don't leave out you and your family in the plan. Life is about experiences, or it should be, right? Not just more things. Your family is important. Don't go out and buy more stuff, more things, more TVs, more clothes, more shoes. Take some of it and spend on an experience. Use some of it as a tool to help your overall plan. You and your family deserve it. And the generations that will benefit from what you're doing now in redefining your financial relationship, they ultimately will thrive because of it. So let's talk about my next things, or my favorite things. Next things is next. My favorite things. My favorite thing today is the tax refund flex pack. Remember, I wrote this because so many people don't know what to do with their tax refund, or they just go out, they spend more money on more things, and then they wind up in the same situation. Or they do things like, okay, well, I'm gonna pay my rent up for 6 months. So they give 6 months worth of rent or 4 months worth of rent to their landlord, where they could have done something different and created an efficient and effective budget so that paying that rent doesn't become an issue, or leaving some money aside for that. Most people are doing things with their tax refund out of survival mode. And remember what happens when you operate out of survival mode: cuts off access to the cortex part of your brain, where creativity and rational thought are housed. So you're not even coming up with a great plan in the first place, which is why I say go talk to somebody about it. But the tax refund the tax refund flex pack, the 10-step play to boss up your finances. Again, I created it. Everybody can't meet with me. However, you can get this pack to learn how to maximize your tax refund to permanently improve your financial relationship. It's a digital product. Download it today. The link is in the description. But here's the thing, doesn't necessarily mean you're going to do all 10 of the plays, right? But it's giving you and telling you exactly how to do 10 things to help you improve your personal financial relationship. So go ahead, make that purchase so that you're not in the same place that you were last year. So let's talk about those next steps. Next steps. Life is about a journey. Life is about learning. Got to learn the lessons in order to keep moving. It's about elevation. And when you have this great big picture, you figured out how you want to live the rest of your life. Now you got to break it down. How do you get there? Right? So it's about taking the journey one step at a time. The journey is really more important than the destination. Right? The journey is where you learn things. The journey is where you grow. The journey, it's stepping stones for greatness. When people say, oh, this hiccup or this failure or this, it's not ever a failure. It's a lesson. And when you learn the lessons, you get better. Life gets better. You reclaim your financial relationship. You redefine it so that it's working in your behalf. But you have to take it one step at a time. We live in this microwave society where we want everything right now. And wanting everything right now, sometimes you miss the lessons. And we know what happens when you miss the lesson. You're doomed to repeat them, right? So it's why I break these things down in really small steps every week, every day, rather. I leave you with just 3 small steps. Because when you do the small steps, you look back, you heal, and you've climbed a mountain. Some of these trainings will have the same 3 small steps. Why? Because somebody might be looking at it for the first time, and or you may have seen part 1 of the tax refund training, part 2 of it. This is the third part where we're talking about things to do as opposed to the mistakes that people make, and you didn't do anything. So if you see the thing again, maybe now you'll be moved to action. So what's your homework? What are those next steps? Pretty simple. Think about how you want to use your tax refund. Think about it. Ask your kids, right? Your kids may say, you know what? Or you may know your child is naturally good at tumbling because you see them tumbling all through the living room and over the furniture. And you're like, you know what? They might really do well in a gymnastics class. Now you got a lump sum of money. Maybe you can pay for gymnastics class for the next 6 months or something to get them in there so that your children can have another experience, right? So think about how you may want to spend the money on you. Is it something that we're doing for the house, on your children? How are you going to spend the money? What's the plan to have the biggest impact? They don't need another pair of gym shoes. They don't need another pair. There's another TV in the house or another game in the house. If you have a kid and they're going to do gymnastics, well, now you have the money to pay for the classes and whatever clothes that they need to get for gymnastics class, right? You have the money to put that son into a mentoring program or a sports program. Think about that. And number 2 is come up with the plan and then talk to somebody. So think about how you want to spend it and then create the plan. I know this gymnastics class is X amount of dollars. I want to get this sound bath healing. Me and my mate are going out to wherever. Create the plan. Now, if you can't create the plan yourself, or you just don't know, or you're standing in the middle of a storm and you're like, I just don't know what to do, talk to someone. Schedule a consultation with me or a professional to help you think it through, but make the decisions that will benefit you today, tomorrow, and down the road. And number 3 is execute the plan. It's great to think about it. It's great to even talk to somebody about it, but you got to pull the trigger and do the thing because the thing, that's the movement, right? And the movement is where you start to see the change, where you start to see the progress. What you don't want to do is do the same thing you've done in previous years and expect something different. Don't be in the same place 6 months from now than you were before you got that tax refund. It's time to level up and improve your financial relationship so you can live the life you desire and not the one that you get for after paying bills. If this information has been helpful, please subscribe to my channel and be sure to turn notifications on so you don't miss a training. Also, if you're in need of personal or business strategy, let's talk about it. Don't continue to sit here trying to figure some things out, right? The consultation scheduling links are below in the description. Create a plan and move. movement is where you start to see the change happen. You have to do something. Sometimes we're scared to move. We're frightened because we need to move in a different direction, in a direction that we're not accustomed to, in a direction that we've never moved before. That's where that assistance comes in. That's where that consultation, that's where that coach, that's where that, consultation with me comes in, so that you have somebody holding your hand and can tell you and reassure you that you're doing the right thing. Because sometimes you agree to a thing and you know it's the right thing, but then fear and anxiety and all of those things kick up again. And you're like, I'm not going to do anything. And then you're frozen. And you go back and you do the same thing that you did last year with tax money. I'm just going to go buy a TV. I'm just going to go do this thing. Right. Or then you're going to make the other thing that people do is they make decisions again based off being in survival mode or based off not knowing other things, right? And you wind up wasting the money that you have, wasting the time, and you didn't move any forward. In some instances, you moved backwards, and in some instances, you stood still. So just make sure you have a plan and you do something intentional with it so that it actually has an impact on you and your family. And as we wrap up for today, remember to always give yourself some grace. Always give yourself some grace. Always give yourself some grace. I have a podcast that I do on Sundays evenings called Amazing Women Speak. And last week's episode was Release the Guilt. And sometimes we impose this guilt. Sometimes it's self-imposed, but we put this guilt on ourselves or it comes from somewhere else. And so a lot of times children, we can have guilt about what we weren't able to do for our children or what we weren't, able to do for our families. And I told a story, my daughter's 22 now, but I told a story of when she was probably 7 or 8 when I was going through my own financial hardship. And I felt so bad about, things that I wanted to do. And we couldn't do a lot of those things. She ain't miss a beat on that, right? She just wanted to spend time with me. She just wanted to spend time with her dad. We were divorced at this time. And so she had the opportunity to do that. So, but it was, and I remember the first time coming out of that I was able to, I got some tickets to a concert. And when I pushed submit for those tickets, I literally cried. Because for me, we had not been able to do those sort of things for the previous couple of years. And now to be able to do that, oh my God, but I felt guilty, right? So sometimes we do things, and people will use this money to, because they have their own guilt brewing inside of them. And I'm not saying don't use the money to do the things, but just make sure it's coming from a place that's going to be beneficial, uplifting, and life-changing for you and for your kids. So just always give yourself some grace. Always, always, always give yourself some grace. Keep striving for your next level. You're not in competition with anybody else. You just want to be better than you were yesterday, and never give up on you. Never, ever, ever give up on you. I don't care if you have to keep starting over every single day. Keep doing it. Never give up on you. You got this. You can do it. And then invest in you, right? Take this tax refund money and invest in you and invest in your family. I promise you, it will change your life. Invest in you. It is the best investment that you will ever make. Thank you so much for joining me today. And I will see you for the private Q&A on the other side. Thank you for watching. I appreciate your time. Be sure to join me for the private online Q&A immediately following. The link is in the description. And if you haven't done so already, please be sure to subscribe to my channel and turn notifications on so you never miss this opportunity. Thank you again.